Hi, everybody. Welcome to the last week before break. Sorry I can't be with you today, and actually I will not be back until Thursday. In the meantime, you'll have some subs, and you'll also have Mr. T and Miss Lisa to help you get ready for the test on Friday. Today we're going to learn how to solve a triangle. That is, figure out all the sides and all the angles when you are given only two sides. Tomorrow, we're going to learn how to solve a triangle. Again, all the angles, all the sides, when you're given just one side and one angle. On Wednesday and Thursday, you're going to be working on your study guide for the test. And then I will be back on Thursday during 7th period. And if you happen to have, if you are in 6th period and you happen to have a free 7th, and you want to come into class during 7th to ask questions or get help, that would be just fine to do. So the basic format of the days are that I'll record a video for each day, and it'll be just like me giving a lesson. And hopefully you can all watch that together at the beginning of class. And then, of course, you can watch it anytime you want on your own. But that video will give you the information you need for the day. And then you can go ahead and start working on your homework. And you'll have either Mr. T or Miss Lisa there to help you if you have questions. As always, I'm available on email. So let me know if there's a particular area that you don't understand, and I can try to help you. Okay, let's get started. So the whole enchilada, that's what we're working on. We're going to solve the whole triangle. And again, today we're going to just work on solving it when you are given just two sides. So given a right triangle, find the measures of all of its sides and all of its angles. It turns out you can do this if you know either two sides lengths or one side length and the measure of one acute angle. And you see two examples here. So on a test, you would see that kind of figure, and then basically the question would just say, solve it. Okay, and here you have two sides, and as always, you have the right triangle down here. Or you could have this kind of picture with the solve it, and here you have one side, one angle, and then you also have the 90-degree angle, which is a given. So you actually have two angles, but one of them is just going to be the acute angle that you're given. See if I covered everything there. Yeah. Okay, let's go to the next slide. So you should be following along with this in your notes. So these are the exact same pages that are in your notes. And if you work them out on your notes, then you have a reference to use when you go to do your homework. So given two sides of the triangle, solve it. And you know how to do all these things. This is the stuff that we worked on last week. And so you know how to do the pieces, but now we're going to put the whole puzzle together. So the very first thing you need to do, your step one, is to analyze what you know, label the triangle, and set up your table. And your table will just help you keep track of all the three angles and all the three sides. So what do we mean by analyze? So I'm looking at this triangle here, and I'm noticing I know two sides, and I know one angle. And I am going to pick this angle B here as theta. Okay. So here, if this is theta, then I know this is the opposite. Okay, this is the adjacent, And I know this is the hypotenuse because it is across from the 90-degree box here. So we know two sides. So how can I find that third side? And we all know how to do that. That's using the Pythagorean theorem. Okay? So make sure you understand right off the bat what it is you have, what it is you don't have, and what the various sides are in your triangle. So let's find the length of the hypotenuse. So I'm going to use Pythagorean theorem, and I'm going to say 9 squared plus 12 squared is going to be equal to the hypotenuse squared. Okay, 9 squared is 81, 12 squared is 144, equal to the hypotenuse squared. Okay, and then that's 225 equals the hypotenuse squared. So I'm going to take the square root of both sides, and I know the hypotenuse is equal to 15. Okay. So now I have my opposite, my adjacent, and my hypotenuse. I have all three sides of the triangle. I'm halfway there. So let's go to the next slide. So here I'm going to start my table. So here I have my opposite, my adjacent, my hypotenuse, my theta, and my other angle. And by the time we're done, this whole table will be filled out. So we know, again, this is theta here. Okay, so the opposite is 9. Okay, the adjacent is 12. And from the previous page, we know the hypotenuse is 15. So we're halfway there. So how do you find those angles? Well, you use trigonometry. How about that? Oops. I didn't switch pages here. Okay. So do I know any of the angles? I sure do. Okay, and I'm going to have to redraw my table here. Sorry. So opposite, adjacent, hypotenuse, theta, and the other angle. What? Okay, so my opposite, again, this is theta, is 9. My adjacent is 12. My hypotenuse is 15. So now we got to figure out theta. So as you know from last week, you find the other angle, or you find theta, using good old trigonometry. And again, we're going to use SOHCAHTOA. So let's remind ourselves what SOHCAHTOA is. Okay. So we have our opposite and we have our adjacent, and we know that the function that deals with opposite and adjacent is t, tan. Okay, there's TOA right there. Tangent, opposite, over adjacent. So we know the tangent of theta is going to be equal to the opposite, which is 9, over 12. And I can divide that with my calculator. It's equal to 3/4, which is equal to 0.75. So we go to our handy table, and we say our tangent is equal to 0.75. Okay, here's our tangent. Okay, here's our tangent. We go down, 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 down. Bingo. There's 0.7536, and that is the tangent, which is equal to 7.7536, is the angle 37. So we go back. Okay. I'm going to erase my thing. So tangent. So tangent of theta equals 0.75. And from the table, we know that theta is equal to 37 degrees. Okay, so our theta is right there, and now I know it's equal to 37. So now I know two angles. I know this angle is 90, and I know this angle is 37. And what do I know about all three angles of the triangle? I know that if I add them all together, they're going to equal 180 degrees. So I add 90 plus 37, 127. I subtract it from 180. 10 take away 7 is 3. 7 take away 2 is 5. Okay, this angle right here is going to be 53 degrees. So let's fill out our table. Okay, our opposite is 9. Our adjacent is 12. Our hypotenuse was 15. Okay, our theta was 37 degrees. And our other angle was 53 degrees. And there we go. We have the whole enchilada. So let's do another example. Okay, so let's try this one. Getting tired of green. Let's do blue. Okay, so again, first thing we're going to do is to analyze. Label and table. So let's analyze. What do we got? We have two sides. Okay, we know that angle is 90, and that's it. So now we're going to label, and this is our theta. Okay, so we know that this is going to be the opposite of theta. We're going to know that this here is going to be the hypotenuse because it's across from the 90 degrees. And then we know this one is going to be the adjacent. Okay, so we've got everything. We know what we've got. We have labeled it all, and we know what 6 things we need to find. Okay, so let's do our sides first. We already have 2 of them, so we just need to find the third. So find side. And how do we find sides? Good old Pythagorean, or Pythagoras. Pythagorean theorem. Okay, so our hypotenuse is 3, our sides is 2, one side is 2, and our other side we don't know. So let's set up our equation. So I'm going to have 2 squared plus the opposite squared is going to equal 3 squared. 4 plus the opposite squared is equal to 9. Okay, the opposite squared is going to be equal to 5. I take the square root of both sides. My opposite is equal to the square root of 5. Okay, so we have our opposite, square root of 5. So now we need to find the other angle. So we have all 3 sides figured out. We need to find out what this angle is. But we already have 2 of the angles. All we need to do is find the third. And we know that the 2 angles that we have plus the angle that we don't have is going to add up to equal 180. So let's add the angles that we do have. So we need to know theta first. So we're going to find theta, and in this case we're using the adjacent and the hypotenuse. So that is the cosine. Remember from Saka, Toa, cosine is the adjacent over the hypotenuse. So the cosine of theta is going to be equal to 2 over 3, which in decimals is equal to 0.67 when it's rounded to the hundredths place. We go to our handy dandy table. And we look for a cosine of 0.67. We come down. Here's 669. It's probably about as close as we're going to get. And that gives us an angle. Go over the angle of 48 degrees. So theta is equal to 48 degrees. Okay. So far we know our hypotenuse. Hypotenuse is 3, our adjacent is 2, our other side is equal to square root of 5. We know that this theta here is equal to 48 degrees. That we just found out from our table. And so now the only thing left to do is figure out this angle. So again, we know that if we add together our 90-degree angle and our 48-degree angle, we end up with 138. We subtract that from 180. 10 take away 8 equals 2. 7 take away 3 is 4. And this angle is equal to 42 degrees. So we got everything. We can do our table. Okay, our adjacent, our opposite. I don't really care what order you're doing them in as long as you label them correctly and the right lengths and angle measures are with the right description. Okay, so my adjacent is 2. My opposite is square root of 5. My hypotenuse is 3. My theta is 48 degrees. And my other angle is 42 degrees. And there it is, the whole enchilada, and you're done. Okay. So let's review. If I know the lengths of 2 sides, okay, first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to analyze, label, and make the table. I'm going to find the third side with the Pythagorean theorem. Okay. Here's my triangle. If I know the lengths of 2 sides, let's just say 3 and 4. Okay, I'm going to analyze, label, make a table. Find the third side with the Pythagorean theorem. Okay, this is my step 1. Okay, then I'm going to use my trig to find theta, which will either be this angle or the other one. That's my step 2. And then I'm going to find the other angle. Okay, and that's going to be step 3. So basically, in 4 steps, you're going to have found out, you are going to have solved the whole triangle. You know all the angles and all the sides. And that's what you set out to do. So that's it for today. Watch this video as many times as you need to. I hope you took notes on them, but you should be ready now to do the homework. If you keep this little list of steps in front of you, also you're going to need your trig table, your green sheet, and it might be helpful to have your SOHCAHTOA sheet also. Okay, good luck, and I will see you on a video tomorrow.